Today I want to tell you how I got a 97 on my FAA private pilot knowledge test. Guys, I got this 97 on Saturday. Today is Tuesday, and I am still walking on air. I am so proud of myself. I worked so hard for that 97. I'm just so proud of myself. So I'm going to tell you how I did it. And this is me. I'm a very intense person. So this may not be your jam. I'm very intense. I get nuts when it comes to studying. I want to do well. Okay? So what I'm about to tell you is from the perspective of me, a very intense person. So I got a 97 because I studied like I was going to get 100. Anybody that spoke with me in the weeks leading up to the test heard me say, I'm going to get 100. I'm going to get 100. I'm going to get 100. I got some laughs here and there. No, I was going to get 100. I'm still a little peeved about where the 3 points are, but nonetheless, I did really well. And I studied like I was going to get 100. I hear people all the time talking about this test. Oh, just pass. All you need to do is pass. Well, if you go with that mentality, if you study with that mentality, you might not pass. Because that mentality breeds this kind of thinking. You come across a chapter or topic that's really boring, right? 14 CFR, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Horrible, right? There's no pictures. It's just really boring. That's it. It's dry. You have to memorize it. And you go to yourself, oh, I just want to pass. So you know what? I'll chalk those questions up. That's fine. And then guess what happens? You get 5 questions pertaining to 14 CFR on your test. And now you lost 10 points. And now you went from, everybody starts off possibly getting 100. Now the highest is like a 90. And there's a big margin after that if you were just studying to pass, because you probably have that attitude about a lot of other areas. Oh, screw this, screw that, screw this, screw that. It probably won't be on the test. Probably won't be. You don't know what's going to be on the test. And that's the thing. You have no idea. That's why you need to leave no stone unturned, because that one area that you said screw it about, and I just want to pass, like I said, it could be like 5 questions about that. Also, everything kind of interrelates in general in the material. So if you came across a question you never saw before, you want to be able to make that educated guess. You won't be able to make as good of an educated guess if you weren't as thorough in your studying. Now, more specific tips that I made up along the way. I created my own acronyms and my own mnemonics. We know aviation has a ton of acronyms and mnemonics. There's Aviates, Arrow, NW Craft, high to low, look out below, red over red, you're dead, white over white, you fly all night. I mean, it goes on and on. Accelerate north, decelerate south, north opposite, south same, east is least, west is best. I mean, it just goes on. I made up more because those worked so well. I'm like, why don't I just make up more? I made up more, except they were personal. They pertain to me, funny things I find funny, like stuff in Seinfeld, just things that I could see the question and then immediately hear in my head the joke and know right away what the answer is. So that's one big thing that helped me. I'm telling you, that helped me out so much. Here's another thing. 14 days before the test, I committed myself to writing those acronyms out, those mnemonics out on a piece of paper every single morning. Just write it down, because there's something that happens between your head and your hand and your arm when it comes to memory and writing and being repetitious that really slams that material into your brain. I also included in those things I would write every morning was the equations for magnetic heading, time and route, density, altitude. There's actually an equation for that, although I never use that. I just use the chart, and so on and so forth, and just writing out every single morning. And as the days came closer to the test, I was actually doing it like morning, afternoon, night, just constant. Another thing. I used Gleim Online Ground School, but I also used Sporty's Private Pilot Test Prep app. And I also used M0A's Knowledge Test Bootcamp. So I had 3 perspectives. I had Gleim, Sporty's, and M0A. And I'll tell you right now, there was stuff on Sporty's that was not on Gleim. And had I not used Sporty's, I would have gotten a few questions wrong on the test concerning special VFR, because I had 2 or 3 questions on special VFR that was covered for like 1 second in GLIME, and I would have, like, I never really, after like that 1 second, I never really saw a question on special VFR in GLIME ever again, but I did see it in Sporties a bunch of times, and voila, like the 4 or 6 points right there that I got because I did Sporties as well. I would really, really, really recommend M0A. Jason Shepard is incredible. He explains things so beautifully. He makes the most boring crap so interesting, so compelling. He does his very best. He puts his passion into it. And even I think sometimes he knows that the stories that he's pulling out, like, to make things interesting aren't that interesting. He is trying so hard. And the fact that he's trying that hard makes you want to listen. He's incredible. M0A, I would definitely recommend them. What else? I mean, I just went nuts. I wrote notes and I taped them all over the house. So the weeks leading up to the test, there were notes all over my house, everywhere, by doorknobs. I mean, just everywhere. The refrigerator, like I had them in the shower. I'm not kidding. I had notes everywhere in my car, and I would read as I would walk around the house, and I would read every time I got into the car, every time I parked the car. I mean, every single like place in my world, there were notes in the closet. And as the test drew closer and closer, I would, all the notes, the things that I already like knew by memory, I would take those off the wall. And then just at the very end, there was stuff on the weather theory that was really, really weak on. And I just left that up because my eyes were so saturated with words. I wanted the stuff I was weak on to really stand out. And actually, I did very well on all the weather stuff because, I mean, I got a 97. And I know that the places, the 2 questions I got wrong were actually not concerning weather, which amazes me because weather was one of my weakest areas. So I basically went crazy studying. I recorded myself reading FAA material, and then I would listen to it in the car. I would listen to it as I was going to sleep. When I woke up, I mean, I would fall asleep with practice tests in my hand, and I would wake up and I would continue reading and continue because, you know what, I wanted that 100. I still wish I had. I'm like, damn, about those 3 points, but I wanted that 100 that badly, and I did whatever the hell I could to get it. My house was a huge mess by the end of my studying. The day I came home from taking the test, I walked in, the house was a disaster. I was just so happy. I'm like, all this was completely worth it because I got my 97. I'm walking on air still. But yeah, that's how I did it. Guys, let me know how you do on the test. If you get 100, please let me know. I'd be so happy for you if you get 100. That golden 100. Well, maybe for instruments. I need to take M0A's ground school for instruments because Jason knows how to teach. He knows how to teach. It doesn't matter if, like, GLIME, they know their stuff. That's nice. The way they present it is very dry, I must say. I would never recommend GLIME to anybody. By the way, if you are looking at GLIME, I want you to know something right now. I want you to know that when you're done with everything, okay, you can only take 3 bonus practice tests. So you can only practice 3 times. You need to practice way more than 3 times before you take that test. I mean, unless you're some kind of absolute genius with a photographic memory, you should not just get 3 times out of all that money you pay GLIME. That's another reason I ended up doing M0A, was because GLIME only gave 3 practice tests and M0A gives unlimited. They care. They really, really care. They're really great company. But yeah, so that's that. Get that Sporties private pilot test prep app, because then you can just, when you're bored on your phone, you study, and you keep studying and you go crazy studying until what? Until you get that 100. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Talk soon.